Rams Talk Radio is brought to you by the Blue Wire Network.
Whose house? Whose house? Under pressure. Donald got there in the air. Intercepted by the Browns. Los Angeles Rams selectors. Jared Verse. Get out of your seat and rise with the Devontae, touchdown! What a play! Ciapala, diving grab! President Tua! Now for Cobb, what a catch! Cooper Kupp turns on the Jets. Kupp racing away. Cooper Kupp all the way. Touchdown!
Even on one play at a time, believe it, and you'll be world champions.
A Lombardi trophy for Los Angeles.
We world champions. Yes, sir. We world champions. We make that play. We world champions. We make that play. Let's go.
Welcome to Rams Talk Radio. This is Derek Ciapala with the whole team. We're back after the Rams 20-12 preseason victory yesterday on Saturday, August 15th. You have a lot to talk about, I think, from this game, especially by a young quarterback. Let's check out first with Coach. How you doing, man?
I am doing outstandingly well and ready to get into some of this Rams. Preseason means we're getting close to the real deal. So excited.
Deuce, how you feeling?
Feeling good. Always nice to have a win versus a loss, so can't complain today.
Norm.
Living the dream, brother. Living the dream.
Living the dream. Every day we live the dream. Rams win 20-12 yesterday, gentlemen, and there was one performance that stood out amongst many of us who are following this team right now, and that is Ty Simpson. I want to quickly go through the numbers from this game, and I'm going to turn to you guys and ask your thoughts on his performance and what else you saw in the game that kind of stood out. First things first, at the quarterback position, Ty Simpson, 21-25, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. Stetson Bennett, 4 of 6 for 38 yards. Kind of a split running game. The guy we're kind of watching the most would be Jacques Hunter, 9 carries, 35 yards for him. He had the most in terms of carries, but receiving, a bunch of guys we don't know about, except for Max Clare with 7 catches for 37 yards. So there you go. 4 for Presley at 58 yards. He's the leading receiver, had 4 targets. Our kicking game, Mevis, 2 for 2 for field goals. Besides that, no real starters, guys. No one really, nothing to really talk about. And that brings us to our quarterback, the guy who took a ton of criticism, and by a ton, we're talking an insane amount of criticism, and that came with the first round pick. Coach, I'm going to you first, asking you, does the way he performed yesterday give you a chance now to kind of revise your thinking as to why the Rams did what they did?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we are clear on the Rams that they're going to try to get value at every pick. When you're talking about a first round pick, people think you have to have the name that's out there, bells and whistles and things like that. But I think for the most part, the Rams have done a great job as far as scouting and getting guys that make sense. So this is one that makes sense. Looking at his play, it may be one of those, they got a real steal.
Deuce, I remember our conversations draft day. Oh boy. What are your thoughts now?
Yeah, obviously I was one of those that was very critical, but just from what we've heard from going back to minicamp up to now, you've seen just good positive news coming out of practices. They're just saying just the knowledge of the playbook, the efficiency, just the professionalism that he's exuded. And then obviously to come out in your first real action in a preseason game and have that type of performance is great. So I hope I'm wrong on this moving forward, and I hope this is a glimpse of things to come in the future. So definitely pleased with the performance yesterday. Obviously the efficiency and the numbers look great, taking care of the football, no turnovers, clean action. So overall, great job by Simpson yesterday.
Norm, when we were watching, when we did the draft, you were among those who was not happy at first. Then I remember getting a text from you, and you were telling me, I watched this on him, I watched this on him, and you sort of changed your tone in terms of what the film was saying. Now it's completely different. What is your actual view on our young quarterback from now compared to then?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of thought that, me included, that, maybe this was a reach, might have been a waste of a first round pick, yada, yada. But looking at it then and really kind of going into it, I changed my opinion based on the mechanics and the maturity and things like that, even though there wasn't a ton of tape on the kid. And then yesterday, not only did I watch the game, but I broke it down several hours. I watched every play, did the Gruden thing with the rewind button and watched his mechanics, his footwork and his pocket presence and his release point. Was he hitting the check down? Was he going through his progression? And, I think he only made one mistake yesterday, but the mistake he made, he did the smart thing in the mistake, and that was he didn't make it worse. I really like this kid. I think if he continues to grow and play the way that he is, I think he's got a future in the NFL. Hopefully, the heir apparent to Matthew Stafford if Matthew retires. But, look, it's one game. It was very vanilla. There wasn't a lot of fancy routes and things like that, but he took what he had and he did what he was supposed to with it. All his throws were pretty well on point, and his accuracy looked good. There's a couple that were a little off, but overall, I think this kid's got the goods, and I think he outperformed, even though Bennett only threw 6 times. I think he looked better than Bennett in those 6 plays. A couple of the throws Bennett made weren't that great. So overall, I'm really pleased with what I've seen so far, and if we can continue this throughout the rest of the season and even next year, if we still have Stafford, I think we might be onto something with this kid.
We're going to come back to that here in a moment. We'll go ahead and give a word for our sponsors. All right, so I want to go back into this. I want to bring a parallel. Last first round quarterback the Rams drafted was Jared Goff. They went up early in the first round for him. We saw a lot of good things early on in Jared Goff's career. But one of the major issues that we saw, just as people who watched the game, was he had a problem with progressions. Normally a rookie has a problem first year. It takes you time to get you really only make your first couple reads, you get rid of the football, and you go. And as you mature and get used to the speed of the NFL, you're able to read your third, your fourth, your fifth reads, and so on and so forth. That's where Jared had problems. And we used to talk about that on the show. Now here, another young quarterback. You mentioned reads, Norm. What are you guys seeing in terms of him making reads? I know it was a vanilla game plan. We should expect that. It's only one game, but he's still your first round pick, and you put a lot of people on notice in terms of the NFL. Like, hey, it's a possible Super Bowl year. You're trying to win a Super Bowl. You're reaching for a guy who could have been found later in the first round. And here we are. You're going for him. He's your quarterback of the future. What did you see with the reads, guys? Anybody, just go for it. What did you see with reads?
Well, again, since I think I had the most time on him, I'll start. When I kept rewinding and watching, you kept watching him look. 1 receiver, 2 receiver, 3 receiver check down. his rollout. I mean, he's mobile. He can roll out and throw on the run on both sides, which was impressive. He wasn't trying to make the big play. He was trying to make the open play, and that's hard for a rookie to do because a rookie wants to come out and shine. So you see that number one receiver taking off. If you think he's going to win, you're going to throw it up. He didn't do that. He waited till he knew who was open and threw to the open receiver. Max Clare was his main target, and Max Clare looked good. So I think we have another tight end in our mix that's going to help with our 13 personnel, which is great. But I just liked his maturity. A couple of things I did notice scouting him was every time he threw the ball, he patted it before he threw it. So that's a tell he's going to have to get rid of playing against the big boys because they're going to know, all right, if he's patting the ball, it's coming out. But if you look at, like, I watched several games yesterday and watched the highlights and the quarterback play from most of those games. He by far outshined every rookie quarterback that played yesterday. By far, not even close. So I was very impressed with him. Again, the sample size is still small. I mean, we only had a season at Alabama and we only had one game yesterday. But from what I saw, he's very mature, and he literally went down every single read. And if he didn't have anybody that was open, he threw it away or ran out of bounds. So I'm very impressed by him. He's a very mature rookie.
Yeah, there's a lot that I liked. The poise was definitely something that stood out to me. Just being calm, not getting rattled. He didn't look like Jared Goff did early in his career, where he had sort of the happy feet when pressure started coming around. He took his time. You could see him maneuvering his head, going through the progression. So I just like how he was steady, again, not forcing the issue, taking care of the football, taking what's there and making the smart plays. So that's something that we talk about, just winning the turnover battle, making sure that you're giving your guys opportunities and not forcing the issue. So he did a lot of good things from that standpoint. And again, when you hear what's been going on throughout practices, summertime, and thus far in camp, and now you see that translate into the performance on the field. Granted, it's preseason week 1. Still, you want to see at least good more than bad, and we definitely saw that yesterday. So kudos to Simpson for a good outing.
Coach, help us out a little bit, because you played the NFL for 8 years. You were around several rookie quarterbacks. You know the pressure they face, just trying to acclimate to the speed of the game. What do we need to see from Ty Simpson moving forward as that young rookie to continue this momentum?
Well, the thing is, you all somewhat hit on it. You just got to have consistency and improvement. And so if patting the ball, I don't know if the patting the ball thing, people bring that stuff up, but as a DB, you're not really looking at the quarterback patting the ball. You're maybe looking at if his shoulders tilted up or out, hand off the ball. But if you're patting it, typically when a hand comes off the ball, ball's coming out. If you're patting it and you go, oh, I'm breaking. Oh, he didn't throw it. What am I doing? So I don't know if that patting the ball thing is that much. If you're staring down a receiver, that's going to let me know I'm going. One thing let's talk about is pedigree. So when you look at this young man's pedigree, he played at Alabama, yes? You remember who his coach was?
Started with Saban.
Yeah, started with Saban, ended up with Kalen Dober. Kalen Dober was at the University of Washington with a guy named Michael Penix. Before that, when he was our coach at Fresno State, there was a guy named Jake Havener that came out, didn't have a lot of bells and whistles, but ended up a 4th-round pick with the Saints. So I'm looking at maybe that's where the intel came from, with Coach Dober being a Fresno State coach, then a Washington coach. So you're here in California. Obviously, it could be some ties in there. Now you got some extra incentive going back to even Saban, like, yeah, he was a good kid, but he didn't really play until his senior year. So I'm saying because of that, his dad is a football coach. You got that. You've played the position. You played at one of the top schools, Alabama. You've played against high-level competition. And the one thing I really love, there's no pressure. First-round pick. He's going to be there at least his first contract. But he gets to be there playing behind a guy he can learn a lot from. But when you go in, there's no pressure. Okay, man, I got to make every pass and make the team. You know, you look at a guy in Cleveland, the third string quarterback, he's going in. He has limited reps and throwing 2 picks on limited tries. So the pressure is different. So in a nutshell, consistency, improvement, and then use this time to sit behind a Hall of Fame quarterback to your advantage. So when you walk in, I'm ready to go.
Well, the patting the ball thing, Coach, I know doesn't do much for cornerbacks, but I played outside linebacker and defensive end. So when he's patting that ball and releasing it, I know it's time to throw up my hands. So it gives me a little bit of an advantage of knowing when to try to block that pass. So it does give guys that are doing nothing but looking at the quarterback an advantage.
I love the different perspectives, though. What Coach is seeing for the defensive backfield, he's looking for one thing. You're on the defensive line linebacker, you're looking for another thing, but they both give you tells for what you need. And that's important for the game and how you move it.
Love it.
But let me point this out as well. This Max Clare coming out party yesterday is important too, because when you look at the potential of a Puka Nacua suspension, which who knows if or what he gets, they're playing a lot in 13 personnel. And then you go pull up their roster right now in their depth chart: Davis Allen, Tyler Higbee, Max Clare, Kobe Parkinson, Terrence Ferguson. That's a deeper tight end room than we have for a wide receiver room. My point I'm trying to make here is, yeah, we want Puka there. It's going to hurt him not being there. But in case he's out, it's not the end of the world for what the Rams are trying to do. They're committing themselves to a 13 personnel, and they're making it work. Did it last year? They made it work in this game, and now they have another weapon in the mix in Max Clare, who a possession guy, opposite of Terrence Ferguson, who's not a possession guy. He's a go deep kind of guy. I like some of these dynamics. Wondering what your thoughts are going to Deuce first.
Yeah, the flexibility and the depth in the tight end room is great. And so you can even use maybe Terrence Ferguson a little interchangeably in the slot. Hopefully you get some more consistency with like Xavier Smith or Scott, CJ Daniels. So you can incorporate those guys. But we saw when we were forced with the Adams injury to go to that 13 personnel overseas against Jacksonville, it caused problems for defenses around the league. It was something that I was banging on at the end of the season for us to continue to run more, and we kind of got away from it towards the end. But again, we have the capabilities and the bodies to be able to run so many things out of that formation. And that's also going to help the run game, having those additional bigger bodies out there. So I think just from a balance standpoint, it's going to make us even more dangerous. And again, we can still be explosive with the 3 tight ends out there. So I'm definitely not overly concerned about that, because I feel like we have the guys that can get it done.
Norm.
Well, Puka's definitely impactful. So losing him is always going to hurt. But when you're running 13 personnel, you only have one wide receiver out there. And I mean, when you put Devontae Adams out there, I don't think you're really losing much of anything with one receiver. So I don't think it's going to hurt us that bad. Puka is an impactful player, but with the guys that we have, and, like Deuce said, hopefully this makes us more balanced and gets our running game going a little bit more. And, when we're running the football well, it doesn't matter who we have out there at wide receiver. You got Devontae, you can bring in losing names here.
Mumfield, Xavier Smith.
Yeah, those guys. Mumfield is who I was thinking of. And I was actually impressed with CJ Daniels yesterday. He made a couple of good catches as well, and his downfield blocking wasn't bad. So, and he'll probably make this team as special teams. So will it be impactful? Sure. You can't lose a player like Puka and not expect to have some kind of impact on it. But when you've got guys like Devontae and you can run 13 personnel with all the guys that we have and get our running game going, I don't think it's going to hurt us as bad as it would have back when we were doing 11 personnel. So,
Coach, you mentioned earlier pedigree. Max Clare, Purdue, then Ohio State, Terrence Ferguson, Oregon. These are guys with pedigree in that tight end room. What does that bring to the table overall?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Deuce kind of hit on it. It brings a consistency to be able to run, and as Norm saying, one of them with the flexibility. But the thing is, there's now, the NFL is a copycat league, and there's a shift going back to bigger bodies because most of the defenses are running like we have. We have a lot of DB corner type guys, got a few bigger guys. But when you're playing teams that are used to playing against, 10 and 11 personnel, you now have 13 personnel you go to, and you got some little guys on defense going like, you guys want me to tackle those guys? So there's this thing of teams are putting this in a little bit more. We saw the Niners, they're kind of doing a little more, and a bunch of teams. So again, copycat league, a shift in, all these teams got a bunch of DBs back there. Well, let's get some big bodies and see if they want to come up and tackle. And as you all have noted, we already know, we feel like we have a pretty strong run game. And if you're actually going to go to this, the big boys, and then this run game, now you got a whole nother set of problems. So overall, man, I think the experience in the tight end room, guys with the pedigree, and we can see you hit those undercrossers. That's just moving the chain. So it's going to be interesting. Now, can we get Coach McVay to not get throwing it deep happy and be willing to stick with the plan? That's going to be the question.
Well, give him a call, Coach.
Well, another thing about the pedigree too, you're getting guys who have been in big games. Max Clare's been in big games. Terrence Ferguson's been in big games now second year. And in the NFL, every game's a big game, especially in the NFC West. I like that in a lot of these positions, the Rams gain guys who have been under pressure. Ty Simpson's been under pressure. Didn't go real well for him in Alabama. That wasn't his fault. I think it's one of the reasons why so many people were up in arms about the Alabama pick being 13 and the reason he looked so bad down the line. But Alabama did that man no favors in the last 2 months of the season last year in terms of protecting him and giving him what he needed. And yet Tyson comes in and asks a professional. You have a Max Clare playing like a professional. We saw those pieces from Terrence Ferguson last year. I'm excited to see how the Rams continue to add players who they mix pedigree with guys who are from smaller schools, and they rub off each other. And that's one of the reasons why they've been so successful the last few years with their mid-round draft picks, getting guys who fit kind of that yin and yang kind of mode. Guys, I'm getting more and more excited about this season, and we didn't even see starters yesterday. I'm serious. No starters.
Well, and I don't know if you saw this yet today or not, but Aaron Donald worked out with the team again today. He had to legally try out again. So it was listed today that he was trying out with the team again. So that's 2 times now practice.
Can we just go ahead and say it? He's back.
I mean, if you're going to come once and give it a shot.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So, I just have a feeling that it's moving forward with that. So that's what's getting me excited. You add that dynamic to this, everything else that we have, and it's pretty exciting.
It's really weird about Aaron Donald too, because when he retired, it didn't shock anyone. We've been hearing the kind of the rumblings that he wanted to retire and so on and so forth. But there was something about that retirement that didn't feel right. Like it felt like he still had something to give the game. And now 2 years later, hindsight being 2020, I'm like, really, he just needed something to bring him out, something to light him up again, and playing alongside Myles Garrett obviously was it. I am excited to see him back in uniform one more time. Wonder what kind of contract they'll do for him.
Well, they'll figure it out.
Oh, I know they'll figure it out. But
I'm sure there's a few guys that wouldn't mind giving up some money to get him back. So, the thing that excites me is Aaron played hard and fast all the time, motor all the time running full speed. And he had to be hurt, and physically the seasons were taking a toll on him. He's had 2 years off, man. He's still a physical beast. If he's anything close to what he played, he's healthy. And I think you add all that together, and I think he'll be as impactful as he ever was. And you pair it with the line that we have and Myles Garrett. I please God, let this happen.
Coach, you were, you were in many defensive backfields, and how would it feel for you being on with your defensive line in front of you being Myles Garrett, Byron Young, Aaron Donald, et cetera, et cetera? How would you feel being a safety and cornerback with that defensive line in front of you?
Easily, I'm a shoo-in for a Pro Bowl for sure. I'm going to end up with 7, 8, 9 picks, a ton of tackles because there's nobody going to be but you and the ball carrier or the receiver. But we're going to the Pro Bowl as a secondary because, the ball's got to come out on time. One of the things that really is an advantage for a DB is when you're backpedaling 1001, 1002, 1003, you're 5 to 7, certain routes should be breaking off. It's just when you have a guy who can sit back there all day, you jump the normal route and then a guy double cuts you or extends it. He runs it in, but he runs it in from this side of the field all the way across. Yeah, now you're chasing. So with a guy like those guys coming home, there's no time. Ball's got to come out when it's supposed to. If you hold on to it, it's going to be a sack, which could be a forced fumble. But as Norm said, when you have a guy like Aaron Donald who's going to be pedal to the floor all day long, and then he's not going to have to play every snap. So you now not only have a guy who's fresh mentally, fresh physically, but he's going to be fresh from week to week, limited reps, and I can just pin my ears back and let's go. That's money.
As you said, Pro Bowl.
Well, Byron Young is going to have a mean year this year because he's not going to get double teamed. And then you got I'm getting old, so the names
Stewart up there.
No. I'm talking about the interior guys. Fisk and
you got Puna Ford.
Yeah,
Kobe.
those guys are going to get one-on-ones all the time.
Yeah,
every snap. Because if they don't, Myles Garrett's get off is incredible. And then Aaron Donald's get off is incredible. So you got guys trying to double team them. These other guys are the ones who are going to benefit from it.
Think how many false starts those two guys are going to cause.
Yep.
Man, I got to get back. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it changes the game when you have that type. I think back to, the early Eagle defenses or even the Bear defensive fronts. When you had those guys, Reggie White, Jerome Brown on one side, I mean, those guys were hunting. And so, again, we saw what Reggie White was able to do, go to Green Bay and literally take teams that were like Green Bay bottom feeders. Oh, now they're in the perennial playoffs every year. So, but again, I just think Myles Garrett is going to be rejuvenated. Think about him. He's going to be after it because it's like, yeah, man, these guys they get after it. So it's going to be exciting. What do you think about Deuce?
I love it because it's like you said, it's going to make everybody's job easier. You're going to cause so much disruption. The offense is going to have to speed up. Quarterbacks are going to be consciously thinking like, I got to get this ball out in a hurry because somebody's going to be in the backfield. And I just think about other guys that had played opposite of Aaron Donald before when we had Dante Fowler have great seasons, Leonard Little have great seasons. These other guys are going to get those one-on-one opportunities because you got to account for Garrett and if Donald's out there all the time at all times. And so it's going to make the life in the secondary easier, make life on the linebackers easier. And it's just everybody's going to have an opportunity to shine. And so when you have just the depth and just the talent level, it's going to make everybody's life easier. So it's exciting, the potential of what the defense could be, because it could definitely be one of those classic, special, historic type of seasons for the defense if they play up to par.
Now I know Norm will appreciate this. What is Nate Landman going to do when he's not getting people on him? He actually can run free.
Yeah.
I got a
Well, and
question.
you're not
for you
talking
guys.
about putting 2 All-Pro or Pro Bowl players on the line. You're talking about putting 2 generational Hall of Fame players
Yes.
on the same line
Yes.
with guys that aren't slouches at all, like Byron Young and Braden Fisk and Colby Turner and all those guys. I mean, I'm old and I would love to go play just a few downs.
I think
on
I
that
could get a
line.
little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it pumps me up. It makes me want to go out there and play. And those guys are just loving this. They're all praying that he comes back.
Let me ask you guys one more question. We'll get out of here. Okay. Now, Coach, you mentioned the Eagles' offensive line. You mentioned the Bears' offensive line. Think back the last 30 years. So we'll go back 1996. Kobe Turner, Byron Young, Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett, Braden Fisk, Poona Ford. Can you think of a more talented overall defensive line in the NFL over the last 30 years if this goes through?
Not at all. That's what I'm saying. And like Norm said, you're talking about 2 generational players. That in itself, add the other young bucks in there who have shown what they can do. You got to think as a defense, you're going to be hyped every day at practice, hyped every game, because those guys are going to go in there and create havoc.
Deuce, is there a comparison that comes to mind for you?
The closest team that I can think of is those giant lines with Strahan, Usi Umanyora, Justin Tuck. Like, that's the closest group that I can think as far as a front from a depth standpoint that compares to ours, but they don't have as much length from a depth standpoint that we do.
I mean, it's pretty. Norm, want to go back further for you, like 1926? We can go there. What do you?
I'd like to point out, Coach is a year older than me. Okay, so
but he doesn't look it, man.
I know. Well, if I got rid of this, I'd look a little younger.
Yeah,
I could always dye it, make it darker too.
But really, I mean, you were around.
I was around in the 60s as a kid watching the Fearsome Foursome, and definitely comparison to them, but I don't even think they were as good as this line can be. And I can't, the Bears, the Eagles, and the Giants are the only ones I can think of that had lines that were even close to that kind of caliber. And I think if all of those players on our team that we're talking about, including Aaron Donald, are playing and they're healthy, I really don't see any team that overvalues what they are. And again, you're talking about Myles Garrett, who played for the Cleveland Browns, who played with a losing record, who only made, I don't even know, they made the playoffs 1 year, I think. Always playing from behind, never playing with a lead, and he still gets the sack record. Now you put him on a team that's going to be playing hopefully from ahead, and the other team's going to have to be passing a lot, and you're just giving this guy more opportunities. And then you throw Aaron Donald in there that's going to take some of the double teams away from Myles Garrett or other guys. And it just opens up the door to make this I hate to say it, but like a supercharged team, and most supercharged or Superman kind of teams don't usually win the Super Bowl. That's the one downside to it. And I'm hoping we can change that. But I just don't see how any team can block it because of the fact you added corners that can cover man and can cover right away. And so these quarterbacks, even getting rid of it quick isn't going to help them. So they better have one hell of an offensive line and some guys that can come in and chip block really well, or you're in trouble.
I just want to add real quick, DC, and Norm hit it. Myles Garrett's played many years on a team's going nowhere. but you're not going to turn on the film and see a guy taking plays off and loafing. I can't imagine how much more juice he's going to have knowing, man, I'm actually playing for something. Let's go get this ring. I'm going to get my boy over here. Come on. And then we talk about Mike hit on the depth a little bit. Now you got time to rotate guys around. Fresh. We keep you fresh all game. So I just think, like he said, unfortunately, we do know you can't buy championships. But the thing is, the character guys between an Aaron, a Miles, and the other guys that just play hard, Landman, we saw him last year playing hard. These guys play hard. You take those three, you got something.
When your best players lead by example and execute as well, it's contagious. And so the other guys on the team, they were like, I can't let these guys down. Miles is going to be so amped up because now, for the first time ever, he can actually say, I have a chance to win. And so that's going to be a trickle-down effect that's going to positively impact not only the defense, but the offense as well, the whole team. And so now you have the buy-in from your best players are out there, they're producing, and that's going to allow everybody to elevate their game. So it should be a positive impact across the board, a good domino effect, so to speak.
Like I said, it makes my old ass want to play.
Oh, you got the old part right. All right, guys, follow me at DC Paul on X. Follow Coach at 1223. Follow Norman at Big Hoss DP. And Deuce at Monkey_Rocks5 on Instagram Threads. We're out of here till next time. Have a great one.
Peace, people.